vision casting, not necessarily for the Korean American Global Mission, but my take on what God is doing throughout the world. So, well, let's start with this. 박수. That's how you do it, man. It's my family. I got 3 grown-up children, age 35, 32, 29, and 2 beautiful rabbits. And
they were dogs. Which one's Patty?
This is Patty, 29.
Okay, PPP Patty.
Yeah. So this is not a dog, it's a rabbit. Beautiful rabbit and 토끼 같은 부인. So we've been married for 35 years. But anyway, so I think what KAGMA is trying to do, and I was really, really blessed to be part of the PCA EM forum just last week. And one of the guys actually started talking about how the Lausanne movement came about. And Billy Graham, 1973, as he traveled through the world, realized that everybody's doing their own thing, but no one's talking to each other, even in terms of global evangelism. So he said that, well, you know, we need to do away with the spirit of I do not need you, and I can do this on my own. And I think that's the spirit of Lausanne, and I think it's the friendship of these 2 guys, Billy Graham and John Stott, that started 73, and it's still going very, very strong. And I think the whole new generation, actually, it says, I don't need you, I have Wi-Fi, right? So even the reality of relationship is blur. And so it's quite scary. And actually, these 2 men also influence the school that I just graduated, Oxford Center for Mission Study. Actually, 2 people, both Billy and John Stott. When you walk into my school, it has a plaque, 2 of them signed saying that. What's the point of bring everybody together when global leadership is not being trained? So they start bringing global leaders from all over the world. It's a neat small school at Oxford. We have 125 students from all over the world getting their PhD, and they eventually go back and become the national leaders. So I mean, these 2 men, it's amazing men, visionary and cast out Lausanne movement, my school, and so when I was in there and meeting all these. Honestly, the missional and Christian leaders from all over the world. Doug Bursar, the last CEO, also got PhD from our school. So, and if you hear the story of how a lot of this missional movement began in their little room, you know, just talking to each other and said, hey, we should do something about business as mission. That's how we started the whole movement of business as mission in our school, in a little room there. So, yeah, it's. Well, the key word then is, in that context, what is the redemptive purpose, you know, as Korean American? What is the redemptive purpose? And I've been really heavily reading Martin Buber. Actually, I'm translating his book right now, I and Thou, English to Korean right now. But he said this, Martin Buber, if there had been someone like her in the world, there would have been no need for her to be born. Wow, powerful, you know. So I take that, and this is my quote. If there had been a group like KAGMA in the world, there would have been no need for KAGMA to be born. But I think there's something distinctive about the stuff that we're trying to do. I mean, you have to listen to this cool guy, right? 좀 리스폰드 하세요. Okay. Okay. So our trip to Mexico with my friends. So anyways, so what's in the name? What's in the name, right? I think that's something that we processed here last January. The whole thing about Korean American came up, and is it really necessary? Can it be? Does it really have to be Korean American? On and on and on. So in light of what I'm trying to do, what does it mean to be Korean? I could only tell you my story. My story of being Korean living in America started in 61 for me. I think I'm probably the oldest member here, but I used to be cute. And then immigrate to America at age 12, 1973, 46 years ago. We came to America, started living in LA. That's when I was, according to Hua Young, are you mango or are you bananas? I was definitely mangoes. I was yellow outside and yellow inside. So 1973, you know, I was Mango, right? But as a Mango, I came to America. I moved to LA. There's right below Beverly Hills. There's a city called Culver City. It was completely white,
Very different.
completely white. 1973. So I walked into the school, and the teacher said, "Tell us about your family." So I said, "Okay, 우리 아버지, 우리 아버지." So I said, "Our father is a medical doctor from Korea." And then this is what I got, you know. I said, "No, you mean my father," you know. And I said, "Why are they laughing?" Because I'm just translating the word 우리 아버지 into English. 우리 아버지 is our father, not my father. So I was a sad Mango. And then I start reading Bible, Matthew 6:9, and Jesus says, well, pray like this, "Our Father which art in heaven." He says, "Our Father." So I'm thinking, wow, so actually the white people read that and probably think, my father inside. And something's not right about that. So in my long journey as a Christian, as a pastor, and now I just finished my PhD on this topic, because I did on patron-client, and patron as a father was one of the first topic. And so whose father is he? You know, is it our father or my father? Right? And what does he look like? So I did this thing. This is what I invented, actually. WWGS. What do you think that is? Actually, I put in my, huh? What will Google say? So when you type in the word father, when you say father in English, this is the image, the predominant image, what you get. So I said, that's interesting. I wonder what 아버지 is going to project. This is the predominant image of what father is, right? Is that crazy? So I'm thinking, wait a minute. How come father brings out all these happy father faces, and 아버지 brings all these sad and overworked? And so I said, what about our Pope, father in Kamai? So I said, okay, so what are you doing, man?
Is that Cambodian?
Yeah, that's Kamai, in Cambodian. So when you type in our Pope in Kamai, the first image that pops is this. Father who only has one arm, has been working at the lumberjack. The son getting married, comes and make a tribute to the father, you know. So it's like, so then I asked, you know, actually one of the, last year at Beirut, Lebanon, we had 70 New Testament scholars came in and I did presentation. I said, so which father is it? So you've been saying last 2,000 years is happy father. And you've been saying that that father's only father image that we should have. But Asians don't think that. Cambodians don't think that. Koreans don't think that. So who's the sacrificial father that you talk about when he's always happy? So maybe Christ mimics more of the sacrificial father, you know, and that kind of changed perspective. And so we had a nice talk about it. So anyway, so my journey as, you know, Korean took 46 years to mature. And of course I'm American, you know, and because I pay tax since I was 15. So 43 years of federal tax. Actually, IRS sent me a letter saying that, you know, you could stop. You could get retirement. Because I pay federal tax since 15. So 43 years of paying tax citizen. I'm an American.
So if you pay 40 years, you can retire?
No, they start sending you stuff from IRS. 40 years. Then when you could retire, age projection 60, 65. So I'm kind of like this, Korean American, both ends. I'm Korean, but within my Koreanness there's American. I'm American, but within there's Korean. So graphically, right? So I'm also banana.
I like that.
Oh, you like that one? Okay, I'll show it again. Okay. Yeah, it's whoa, and then go bam, wow. Hey.
Is that better than where you had the Korean?
Yeah, I know. I like this better too.
Yeah, I like that better.
So now I'm officially banana though. So I'm you know, I was mango, and I know as I actually travel, I realize people start. It's Hwa-Young's book. So another Asian theologian, and he wrote that book, and then he identified him as banana, yellow outside, white inside. But you know, that doesn't really define me actually. So I try to come up with different. So I'm more of a kimchi hot dog, two different flavor, right? I'm like 2-in-1, right? And I have a very distinctive Koreanness in my American. understanding of who I am. And then global. Global is actually, my personal encounter with global is three aspects: geographical, philosophical, and theological. I'm going to go into that, but just simply geographically, I've been to 61 countries in my life so far. And that's something that when I encountered Jesus at age 17, I don't know why, I stood there, prayed, I said, Lord, before I turn 50, I would like to travel through 50 countries and preach the gospel. And I did. It's just crazy when you pray. When you're innocent and pray, God answers your prayer. So now I'm 58 and I've been to 61 countries. Just last year alone, I've been to 21 countries, 51 cities. So I travel. So I kind of have a geographical sense of what global looks like, feels like. And then I had this philosophical and theological journey. I studied philosophy at Berkeley, BA, 84 graduated, and then went to Fuller, 86, Master of Divinity. The first encounter with the clash of the philosophy and theology was with Colin Brown. I love Colin Brown. I read him as a philosophy student at Berkeley. He wrote a book called Faith and Philosophy, or Faith and something. And so I read his book. I loved his book. And so I said, man, I'm going to take him. So I took his Colin Brown Systematic. First lecture, he says, well, I'm going to tell you about a rational, logical, systematic way to approach faith. And everything will line up, and you'll be like a tree, rationalism, history, and everything will be, analytic structure. All that will fit it. And I said, I raised my hand. I said, sir, I love my wife, but it's neither rational, logical, nor systematic. My love for my wife is irrational, spontaneous, and crazy. And why would I have to change any of that when I love God? Why does my love for God has to be explained rationally, logically, systematically? Sir, I've been working on fragmented theology. Can I do that? So it's irrational, not logical, and scattered. Like Pensée. In Pensée is scattered, just random saying of this crazy philosopher, and this the bestseller. So I said, why can our faith be like that? And he's like looking at me, okay, why don't you do that? So he's really nice guy. So 20 weeks of class, I never went because I didn't want to influence me. And I wrote my irrational, not logical, and fragmented theology. And he loved it, gave me an A. And he said, you know what, why don't you take my next class? So I did 2 classes under him, got both A's, and it is still irrational. Because I told him that I do not believe because it's rational, I believe because it's irrational. And that's what faith is, in my perspective. So I'm not arguing. Actually, at the time, I'm not even arguing that mine is better than yours. I'm not saying that it is better, nor yours better. I'm arguing for it's both and. Both fragmented and rational theology has to coexist at the same time. So I'm continually pushing for the both and kind of philosophical system, because systematic theology has to exist because some people are rational. But within, you have to allow fragmented theology to exist. As fragmented theology exists, there's got to be a systematic aspect of that in it, and then to coexist, right? So 1986, I cried out at Fuller, give me yellow theology. You had it 2,000 years of white theology. I'm sick of it. It's basically fighting between Plato and Aristotle, and then I don't want a part of that. I want both, And then now Fuller finally started talking about global theology. But I simply say, no, we don't want global theology. We want yellow theology. Because it's been white theology for the last 2,000 years. So that goes deep. So, as you know, Greek philosophers like Plato and Socrates, Aristotle, look at this, 500 BC. So, 469 BC, before Jesus was born, they ruled the whole section. And so, and as you know, that Paul goes to Macedonia, right? So that's what happened, right? So the whole Bible that he wrote, the entire thing is in the frame of reference. Okay? What do I mean by that? What is frame of reference? It's this. So when you have the frame of reference, this is called frame of reference. When you have a frame of reference, then you just don't get to see any of that. Right? That's what frame of reference is. So the whole theory of knowledge, epistemology, how do I know what I know? Is fighting between the whole deductive and inductive Hellenistic Greek philosophy fighting each other, right? So that's the frame of reference. The entire paradigm is based on Greek philosophy, Western-centric view, that is to say either or. Is it this or is it that? So they're still battling. The whole epistemology and ontology is fighting. And so I'm simply saying at Fuller, I'm saying I don't want any part of this. I don't want to be part of your fight, right? So I said if God didn't answer him, or God did not send him there, went to China, then the whole entire Bible would be framed in a way Eastern philosophy, 인식론, right? And Chinese put it very simply. Is it crazy? Makes it so simple, right? Do you read Chinese? No? Okay, then I'll do it in English for you. So it's both and balance. Truth, belief, there's knowledge there. That's the 인식론. How do you know that you know? Right? That's what I'm teaching right now. So my professor at Oxford, he said, Dr. Damien So, Chinese, epistemology is almost ontology. So he's talking about that a little bit, both and. So why is it important? Well, because I think that it is time now, finally, if there's a lot of financial, political issue, but China has come, and I think everybody wants to learn. Even at, evangelical seminaries in America. So I thought that was fantastic, at least for me. And then the whole thing about mission, of course, we have cluster gathering because of our interest, because it's all about mission. So actually our meeting should be about mission, and then the reason association, these are the terms that we kind of threw out, or could change. We don't have to keep the association, we could be, because I think someone said, why don't you call it assembly, or something, call it different, association has limitation. I don't know whether there's limitation, but to be able to identify, all these agencies have their identity. So we thought association is the first word to talk about it. And then we talked about 3 PMs, missional 3 PMs. So I think missional is the center. Somehow, because it's not just pastors, because I know a lot of pastors, all throughout America. But are they missional? Do they really do mission? Do they do mission right? Is there something we could learn from, right, missionally? Pastor Min, I've known for many decades. He has fantastic mission, and he does it well. And then I'm saying that, man, you should come and share that, with us, because it's like you could do a fantastic job, but by yourself doing alone, it's not going to help the entire body, So is it missional pastors, And my thing about being a pastor, I believe in church. I've been pastoring. I planted 5 churches, called Oikos Church in Los Angeles. But we would like to ask the basic questions like, how many Korean American pastors are there? Nobody has absolutely any data on us, because nobody really cares, actually. I did my first doctorate at Fuller. It was about planting second-gen Korean American church. And so when I went to embassies and asking for how many Korean American, English-speaking Korean Americans are there in LA, they said, we don't care. Why is that an issue for us? We just count the heads of total Korean and get the money from the government. That's what we do. I'm like, wow. So it's so weird. When you go India, you have more specific data on Indian, the untouchable, than Korean Americans in America. So that's pretty sad. So I asked Google. I type Korean American pastors, and these are the images. And some of them we know. This is so funny. Korean American, and there's already 2.9 million hits. So And the next page was, we see our familiar face, right? Do you see him? Leo. No, him, right here. You don't see him? Right here. You see him right there. Yeah, and Leo's there, of course, and it's one of the girls that, I don't know what 오정혜 목사님's there, and I don't know what he's there, but I won't say, this is Dallas, so yeah, I'll keep quiet. Yeah, so the whole thing is that, I'm trying to do away with the spirit of, I do not need you, I can do it on my own, and so, when I was actually last weekend at PCA EM Forum, I'm thinking, wow, this is such a fantastic group. Like Lloyd did a sermon that was like, wow, he's really a national leader. And then it would be so nice if Baptist guys were here, Assembly of guys were here, and then hearing and go, wow, we're at the different level, and we could really help. And how they ran the meeting, I'm like, wow, this is so much better than just having fellowship. You know what I mean? It's like, and you do that after 10 years, you get kind of old, But I mean, you go there, I learned something, and all the guys were there. They were absolute top, you know. So I'm thinking, wow, I think we need each other, you know. I think one denomination is not enough. And being a professor also, missional professor, what does that mean? They even have a group called Association of Professors of Mission. So these are the people that actually in the mission field teaching, right? And so Lloyd was that. Lloyd was actually a professor at Cambodia, and that's how he got picked up. But they have organization like this. So then I asked the following question: how many Korean Americans professors out there doing missional work? No data. Zero. We don't have any. Well, I teach a philosophy at Cambodia in Royal University. Is their national university, and I teach a course on metaphysics on the Martin Heidegger. What is nothing? Was ist nicht? What is this? So it's great class. I'll be teaching in July again, and I meet all these crazy guys, wonderful students. I treat them to nice meals, and then I ask them, what did you learn from me for the last 2 months? They said, nothing. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I teach them nothing, and they're so happy. And so they have a National Day of Philosophy in Cambodia. That's November 2018. It's the entire philosophy students of Cambodia. 14 million people live there, and there's only 250 philosophy students in Cambodia. And I was a keynote speaker and ministering, or not ministering, teaching. These are gonna be the future professors of philosophy in Cambodia. So I'm really excited. And because we could make so much impact over there. We're writing, actually, I'm writing a textbook for them on metaphysics, epistemology. How do you know that you know? In their context. So that when Bible's written or retranslated, their understanding of creation is entirely different. You know why? Because the word soun, or nothing in Khmer, always means something. So when God creates something out of nothing, in their mind, it's like, oh, God made something out of something and changed it. But then in a way, white theology said, no, it's out of nothing. It creates something. No. But nothing, the word soun, nothing, always means something. So how can something be nothing when something is something when you say soun? This is crazy, right? So we're really working on that right now. And the guy wrote 80-page paper. We're working on it. We're going to work that into my book so that we could talk about creation in different light. Well, what about how many Korean Americans in some American Society of Missiology? I mean, it's an entire different thing, right? Because what we learn about missiology is different when we have our perspective. So how many Korean Americans are there in the missiology? You know, I just finished my doctorate at same school, writing on patron client. I spent 2 years at Oxford, and there was the writings on the wall, man, literally. And each chapter finished. Last year I passed with flying color and just finished. And so they are now translating my book into a textbook in Regnum. And they start presenting papers all over. This is one of them, Korea. Changshin University, IAMS. There's 4 years, every year they come. This is international meetings, they come. And so we start an organization called Cambodia Research and Resource Center. Bunch of Korean missionaries got together, and we said, hey, you know, let's do our own research, because no one's gonna research on us, about us. So we held small meetings like this, like a think tank. I invited researchers from 5 countries. And the big meetings, and then we mainly publish books, and then we, like Indochina, independent, how to do that and things like that. So I'm still trying to do away. It's not just my university. I don't think I could do it on our own. You know, I think we all need to come together and talk about, because Cambodia is different than Vietnam. That's why I brought 5 countries together, and we're learning from each other, because establishing an independent church in different countries is so different. So we could really learn from each other. I mean, professionals, I don't really have too much on that, but I mean, I just thought about Forever 21. I mean, Forever 21, I mean, how many Forever 21, you know, just this area, man, Dallas, Irving area. So, and they have 600 stores worldwide right now. And every store, every country they go, they give a certain percentage of their earning as a mission. So that's a good example of what Forever 21 can do. Mission, in terms of missionaries, I've actually helped out with Grace Church. Grace Church, I was teaching at Moscow Seminary, and they planted supposedly 100 churches in Siberia, but all of them shut down after like 2 years. So I said, you can't plant a church that shuts down. There's no point of doing that. And so take all the flag out. So I took all the flags out and then re-established 27 churches in Siberia and start going there since 2003 every year, twice a year. And then we had a consistent training. So none of them actually shut down. All of them survived, 90% survived. And one of them actually planted 10 more churches. Just was last year. And they're getting older. They used to be so cute. But great testimony. One guy actually built a church. So wonderful. And we're having a revival meeting there last year. So God can do this kind of crazy stuff. And then it really needs to help each other. This is my 2007. I walk into 82 people orphanage because I started living in Cambodia 2007, about 3-4 months. Orphanage is right across the building. And then we befriended this lady, Bopar. She's a director. She's a beautiful gal. She married, ended up falling in love with the American missionary. So at Seattle, she was getting married, and she's orphan herself. So she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That was such a wonderful privilege. And then all these kids start graduating from orphanage. At age 18, government kids start kicking them out. So my wife said, why don't you live with them? So I started living with them next door. So we start renting an apartment. And 12 years later, they're all graduated from college. They're all coming back. You know, it's just wonderful stories. This gal became the program director of Christian TV, married to a pastor. Fantastic gal. This boy, we saw him grow up from age 12, growing, send him through college, and now he's a member at my wife's ministry, Oasis House, Cambodia. So I think God's, and I'm asking, what is our redemptive purpose of Missional Korean American 3 PMs, you know, and trying to do away with this, I don't need you, but man, I need you. Let's do this together, right? And I think we kind of projected this to be the case. 2019 or 2018, December we had meeting. 2018 December, Dallas meeting was last year, not January. So, and then we just held our KAGMA meeting in Seoul. This was kind of impromptu, and I don't know if should I do this or not, but I just did it, and then start inviting, and then a lot of people came, and these are really the who's and who of Korean American. I mean, you saw him and then you saw him. It's Daniel. He's from Korean American. He's the Assembly of God, Full Gospel. He's been in missionary to Thailand for 20 years. I mean, you know Jamie, Rhea, and then Andrew from Thailand, Chiang Mai, is the head of the Southeast Asia Inner Serve. He's the head of Korean Inner Serve. These are all Korean American pastors and Chandler's there, and you know he was. So I mean, really, they're all coming out, and everybody felt like, wow, you know, it'll be a nice, because these guys are actually aging. When I first met them, they were in their 30s. Now they're in mid-40s and some, you know, late 40s. So everybody's kind of feeling like, hey, there's got to be more than just doing a nice local church, you know, as Korean American. So I think timing is right. So that's what we're doing right now, Think Tank. Actually invited Michael O and Lloyd, and they're all busy. John Choi, he's busy. I don't know why. So we're doing a research, report, resource, empower to missionize the global mission. So I think as I was already doing a lot of research in Cambodia, I'm meeting all these great examples. I mean, these are, talk about like Lloyd being the national speaker. These are the examples that I could proudly say I never seen better example of someone doing mission work. I mean, this guy lived with a slum of Cambodia, no electricity, no running water. I mean, slum of Cambodia, and developed a ministry that is just, I'm so proud of him, you know, and he's Korean, but this guy also, he started ministry and started living, so he lives with all these orphans, and he also lived with all these orphans, and you know, he happened to had a ministry right next to my house in Cambodia, so we befriended, working together, and these just 2 examples should be globalized, because such a fantastic ministry. Of course, this guy, Daniel from LA area, started a ministry in Chiang Mai. You know, most of the seminary or Bible college, recruit students and pay them, or everything's free. He's been charging students, for 20 years. Run an excellent agency, great school. And so I'm thinking, wow, there are great examples that Korean Americans, Korean and the KAGMA could actually bring all these things back to the global setting, and so that, so something like Jonathan Bong actually wrote an Edinburgh series. This is a huge volume, 36 volume, that our school produced through Regnum. And Korean God's Mission, and we asked Jonathan Bong to write forward, and this is what he wrote. This is kind of, if you really read it, it's kind of scary. This is how it concludes. He said, the wise word T.S. Eliot placed mouth of Archbishop Thomas Becket as he resisted temptation, prolong his life in exchange of spiritual integrity are worth citing. And then he cites this, the last temptation is his greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason. And then you're like, what is he talking about? So I bought the book, Murder in the Cathedral, T.S. Eliot. I read the whole thing, and I realized, wow, that's kind of scary. The last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason. And his argument in his forward is, Korean missions are doing the good deed for all the wrong reasons. Like increasing our Presbyterian. So he actually forwards it, and then covers it like this, and you'll be followed to predict the long-term role impact. So once you read once, you don't really, it's like, okay, well, that's nice, but who reads T.S. Eliot, his play? So I said, what is he talking about? I love T.S. Eliot, and I love play. So I bought the whole book at Oxford. I read the whole thing and realized the whole play is about this Thomas Becket is being tempted. And he's like, okay, I'll do this. Do the right thing for the wrong reason. But his accusation is Korean missionaries are doing all this church planting for the sake of increasing the denominational church planting number.
You said that in the other...
Yeah, in this book, as a forward. He wrote a forward for this book.
Is our article in there? My article in
there? Yeah, your article's in there, man. You go back and read that. His article's in there. Yeah. So I'm not trash talking about him. His dash is, but the thing is that it goes unnoticed, even by Koreans. And I read his book, New Shape of World Christianity. Mark No. I mean, every time I read his book, I get mad at. Yeah, in the book. Yeah, so that's why. So when I read his book, like, Lord, when I write, that's what I mean, But he actually is arguing that Koreans are learning from the worst example, that American mission is not what you want to, but you are out there promoting Americanized-led global capitalism, conquering the world in Jesus' name, marketing of capitalistic Jesus, right? And one of my student or PhD guy tried to get a job at one of the major seminary in America, and he said, you have to sign the dotted line. You will not criticize capitalism. And he said, I can't sign that. You cannot work here. I'm like, what does preaching about gospel have to do with capitalism, right? But that's how sad we have become, And so like global missiology, he's actually paid staff at Onuri Church in Korea. So when he does global missiology, all this English and all these different languages get translated, and they're doing one on Paradigm next year, and So I think that global setting, we have guy like Lloyd and all these guys, and I've been challenging Lloyd also, emailing him. I said, you need to write, man. You cannot just preach a good message and record. You need to write. You need to write for Korean Americans' sake. You need to publish it. You need to be out there, putting stuff on the publishing. Otherwise, we're just not going to get our voice heard, because they're not going to do it. So I think we need to say, well, I need you. Well, let's do this together. I don't know where this will lead, because personally, I don't know what that means, But I think God is doing something global, and I think God is setting the Korean Americans in a global setting. So what we do locally is fine and dandy, but unless we really put it together, articulate, and says, I think this is what God is doing, And maybe tomorrow we could talk more about, because I last year alone I've been to China like 5-6 times, and God is doing something with China. And we need to do something with them. And I think there's a role that we play in that big scheme of things, but we don't know how. We just got to do a little more research, and we got to really go talk to the people. And all these things happen because I'm in the field, meeting people, constantly traveling, talking, sharing. And so hopefully that after our think tank tomorrow, something could come out, and then we could maybe make a directional decision tomorrow. Thank you very much. 박수.